Hello there. I have never seen so much furious debate and animosity over a movie online as there has been for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. But why? Well, let's go back to Man of Steel. This isn't actually such a surprise. When Man of Steel happened, do you remember what happened? We had a low rating, Rotten Tomatoes, lots of bad reviews, but the film made almost 700 million, great success. The people it was aimed for loved it. Look, at the time, for me, it was one of the best films of its type that I'd ever seen. So let's jump. What has happened and what happened then with Man of Steel was that certain fans had a concerted tactic to try and ruin the film's box office. And obviously, people who have sites and do reviews and say that they're critics, but not real critics, but they like to push the fact that they are real critics, give the film negative reviews, hoping that the film bombs at the box office. Now, this was the first movie ever to have Batman and Superman in it. Not only that, but to be fighting epically. It was never going to be a failure. So far it's made over 830 million worldwide, should finish about 900 million. Now, again, these people who were desperate for this film to fail have said that that's not enough, that Warner Brothers in some fantasy world came out and said that they must make $1 billion or this film's a failure. Just listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're saying. If the film say if the film stays at what it is now, just over 830 million, it's a failure. Really? That's a failure? Don't forget, this is only the second movie in this DC cinematic universe. Now, to compare that with Marvel's, 15 films or whatever they've done so far is not fair. We're not on that stage. And also, unlike Marvel, DC doesn't want to tickle everyone under the chin. They're not trying to appeal to the mass audience. They are trying to please a certain aspect of the DC fans. And let's be honest, if this is the result, over 830 million worldwide, then that's pretty good. Now, you've got sites like The Hollywood Reporter, Screen Rant, talking domestic, constantly saying it's been a failure at home. It hasn't been a failure at home, but again, they're trying to compare it to Marvel. Again, it's not fair. It's only the second film. I believe when we get to Justice League, we're going to be talking about record-breaking numbers and more people will come in to watch this movie, because they've already said it's going to be a much lighter movie. I think there'll be so many different heroes in it. I think it will be more kind of similar in tone to Avengers, the first Avengers, not Age of Ultron, which was a massive disappointment. I think that this film is going to make a lot of money, especially with the casting of William Dafoe. And, so, you know, they're casting, I mean, basically Christopher Nolan can attract people that Marvel can't. Marvel get a few big names because they're Marvel fans and they're attracted to it in that sense. But the kind of names that Chris Nolan can get from the kind of the Shakespearean companies, from the UK, from America, is very different. That guy has got so much respect in the industry, and he's still executive producer with his wife, Emma Thomas, and he's the one who started this whole thing off. Without his Batman trilogy, without his Dark Knight trilogy, we wouldn't be here now. And now let's talk about the film. There's been lots of all the people trying to shoot the film down have come up with some interesting things. The other day, someone has stooped as low as to count how many words of dialogue Superman said. Now, that's not a new thing here. They tried to do the same thing with Man of Steel. Now, I don't notice things like that. For me, Henry Cavill spoke amply in the film, and I'm sure to most people he did. But this is how desperate they are now. Now, no film in the history of superhero movies has been made in this way. It's extremely different. Now, I have to really have respect now for Zack Snyder, David S. Goyer, Chris Terrio, for having the guts to make a film, a superhero film, so different. Because if they did tickle people under the chin, if they did go the Marvel way, they could have made 2 or 3 billion globally, and everyone would be going, oh yeah, what an amazing, awesome film this is. But instead, for some, I'm afraid this film was just far too intelligent. For the first hour, it's basically character-driven storytelling. It's not actually like fire and CG. It's a very, very clever character piece for an hour. But then, and I am going to talk spoilers here, I've never seen a scene so effective, so powerful in a superhero movie than when Superman's in the courtroom, the Senate, or whatever you want to call it, and all of a sudden it explodes. And that moment, that Henry Cavill, for all the criticism he gets by the haters, actually shows you the negative aspect of being Superman. He's standing there as that building explodes. He sees everyone die in front of him, and there's nothing he can do about it because he didn't see it coming. As he points out to Lois afterwards, I didn't even x-ray the building or the wheelchair or anything. But if we rewind, an even more interesting scene happens with the kind of what Lex Luthor does with the urine in the glass, and really Holly Hunter really made that scene more intense with her performance, and she was brilliant. So I've never seen a more powerful scene like that. So we wouldn't see a scene like that in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. We wouldn't. That's not what they want to do, and that's up to them. And I'm not going to criticise them for that, because at the end of the day, I respect and admire and love watching the Marvel movies. I think they're great, I really do. But I love the DC movies as well. And there's nothing wrong, you can like both. But what some people from Marvel fandom are doing to try and destroy these films' credibility in the tactics that they're using with Rotten Tomatoes, etc., etc. Again, Batman v Superman for me is one of the best superhero films I've ever seen, because it's so different, because it's doing something different and going on a different direction. I love the Doomsday, and all this crap that the Doomsday review in the trailers was wrong and it ruined things. It's total BS. I knew it was so obvious Doomsday was going to be in this movie. It was obvious. So it wasn't a disappointment. I was excited to see Doomsday. When I saw the CG for Doomsday, I liked it. I didn't have an issue with it. Maybe I'm easily pleased. Maybe I'm too biased. But I loved the film. Now, a lot of people are saying the reason it's not going to make a billion or 2 billion is because people listen to the critics. No, they didn't. If people listened to the critics and didn't watch the movie, you would have seen it in the opening box office. The openings were amazing. The reason it's not going to make a billion or 2 billion is because it was so different and bold, and it should be credited for that. Because when I was growing up, films were made for the creative reasons, not just for box office. This film was made for box office, of course, but also for the creative aspect of it. And again, you have to look at someone like Jeff Johns, who's running this whole show, Warner Brothers and DC. You have to applaud them for doing that. I'm so excited for Justice League, like I'm so excited for Civil War. But you know, we're talking my man's Superman. It's as simple as that. It was a great movie. Ben Affleck, absolutely sensational. But for me, this was Superman's film. This was Superman front and centre, no matter what anyone says. And in the end, he becomes the hero we all know he's going to be. And then we look at the rebirth of Superman, which looks like it's going to be in Justice League, unless the rumour of there being a surprise Superman movie in March happens, which will be called Superman Lives. We don't know, just a rumour, and that's impossible. How would they even film that? But that's the rumour. I think the rebirth of Superman is going to be very cleverly done now, because I think this is going to pull the rug up from underneath the haters, because I think Superman will be reborn as more of a kind of pure-hearted Superman, the real Superman that we grew up with, watching in the Christopher Reeve movies. So that's very interesting as well, and that will add more people to follow this DC universe. They're very clever, they're doing a great thing, and I thought it was right for me to do this video and set the record straight for the DC fans and for everyone who worked tirelessly to make this film, because all we've heard on the internet are the voices of the haters, and there has to be a balance. So I've replied, thank you, there'll be more videos, and keep watching these awesome movies.